I just want to make a few human trafficking jokes and pedophilia jokes, grooming jokes, before I get to what I really want to talk about, and that is Matty Healy. But I saw an advertisement. I would read some sort of article, some sort of a introductory roll out the red carpet. Uber's offering this, but I just don't want that kind of nonsense on my phone browser history. But at the train station, I said Uber Teen, and rest assured, it's top rated. Drivers, so your teen is in safe hands. I think it's geared towards the mom or dad that has a lot going on in their lives, and it would help just so much, and I'm sure it really does, where they're trusting a guy who was a doctor in his last country, and now he's a top rated Uber driver. You could go the predictable route where yeah, it's a nice guy or gal, and she's gonna get your child, your teen, to but yeah, point A, point B, no complaints. And then it's the guy where he's a regular Uber driver. Hey, could you please rate me so I can get these top ratings, safe, reliable ratings, and you're not in harm's way, but I am a liability to children under 18. Uber teen, it just screams age of consent. People make Uber work and make a sufficient income, and kudos to you, make your own schedule. But I do know in order to do that, it is a lot of grind, and you're working long days. You just sit in the car, bounce around to places, get people in. But really, when you're trying to use Uber as not like a side hustle, but a full time thing, but it's not really, you don't have that full time thing state of mentality, and you're just absolutely probably not a straight shooter. I'm also aware that the ones that were presumably a a doctor in their last country that now drive Uber, I don't think those are the predators. I think the predators, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a handful of Mexicans that are tied up in some sort of trafficking thing. Maybe I don't know. Probably, but it's gonna be these like white guys, and they're gonna lock the doors. It's like the video to "By the Way" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and that is what Uber Teen is gonna turn into. There's no way it's 100% foolproof. Like I that had to be a concern. Most parents don't care. They will do anything to get that extra time back into their lives. They'll just I'm sure for the last decade, especially these city parents, they're just like, "Yeah, I trust you, call an Uber." If their kid was a dipshit or something, then yeah, maybe they would probably be like, "Okay, you gotta do Uber Teen." I don't think it's gonna turn into a disaster. I'm sure it's gonna be, I don't like, it sounds too good to be true to turn into just a complete shit show. I'm sure there's a few bad apples that don't have any sexual attraction with their regular riders, and then they got good reviews, and then they're gonna become predators to your children, and yeah, it's just the luck of the draw. And then the grooming thing, that's interesting. How'd you guys meet? He was my Uber driver in my town of 5,000. I kept getting him, and one thing led to another. We became friends, and pretty soon he stopped Uber altogether and worked a shitty part-time job and paid me compliments and told me I was pretty when I felt ugly, and now he's my loving husband, and we have 2 children and 1 abortion on the stat sheet because he didn't feel too good about the age of consent. I'm sure there's gonna be some of those stories, and but again, the whole sex trafficking predator thing, that had to be number 1 issue at hand. For all rest assured, I think that the geniuses at Uber will have your child, for the most part, safeguarded. Again, there'll be a few mishaps, maybe some grooming that went under the radar, but I certainly don't think it's gonna be a mass influx of Uber driver turned sexual predator if they're not already registered before they even start their first ride. So kudos to Uber for figuring that one out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I really want to get into Matty Healy because last night I didn't even know he had a Twitter, and then my internet girlfriend assured me that he does, and he went on a rampage. It was pretty conservative, really. A marquee event last night was him and Azealia Banks. But this is all interesting because I literally walked into 1975 fandom literally a week ago. Literally a week ago today, I decided to check out the 1975 for the first time. I'm not trying to take a side. However, I'm very bullish on Matty Healy. I was a little bullish on the guy like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I saw a clip and I was like, oh, he's a pretty funny guy. And that's all I want in anybody. I just want them to have a sense of humor or be funny. Even before I had started listening to the 1975 last week, I could not point out of a lineup who the fuck is it, who what she even looks like. I'm pretty sure she's a rapper. I couldn't point her out, but pre-listening to 1975, a little over a week ago, Matty Healy, I absolutely could point to a picture and know what he does. Maybe if Azealia Banks has some viral clip, maybe I'd be like, I wouldn't name her correctly. I would say, oh, that's some bitch from this clip I watched. But Matty Healy, yes, I could 100%. I'm not saying I am pop culture, but I think he has more of a mass appeal. Maybe not. I don't know. But my internet girlfriend tells me that's Matty Healy's Twitter. I'm like, no, it's not. It's some stupid handle. Good morning, guys. To really set the tone for the night, he's going off. It's hands on sight. If somebody fucks with his fiance, who he calls his missus, which is very cute and charming. I think the joke out of that came from liking raw milk, which is something that RFK Jr. would be proud of. Would he be proud of? Does RFK Jr. like raw milk? Does he support it? Me, I don't have an opinion about it one way or another. I like the alternatives as well, but I'll drink them all with cereal, not necessarily alone, and just a glass with some Oreos, which, by the way, when you say regular Oreos, can we just include double stuffed as just the regular run of the mill Oreo? I feel like it has to be just easily undisputed knowledge that the double stuffed Oreos are just regular run of the mill Oreos. I think the joke spiral, I don't know if this is true, but drinking raw milk and baristas giving a hard time. I'm tired of saying one thing online because it's not real. I'll tell you what, a fucking slap is real. Which is interesting. I feel like baristas, they used to be some sort of job that you maybe worked part-time in college. Maybe you moved coastal in pursuit of some entertainment, show business type job, and that was what you did to fund a little bit of rents and food and all the coffee you could ever drink. And now I feel like baristas, it's almost like an influencer type job. I just feel like now the baristas hold some sort of power as if they know combinations on the menu that you wouldn't have ever thought of. But really, I feel like they know just as much, but just different information. So they come off with like a gatekeeping, all knowing. It's almost like they feel like, and there might be some truth into this, they feel like they set the tone for your day. They can make or break the day. Like, maybe that's true if you really let it get to you and think of it like that. But if you don't, barista, they're just powerless, sorry pieces of shit, is what I would imagine. Then again, I don't really go out for coffee. I'm fine with it on the pot. I'll take a little bit of cream, no sugar. As a matter of fact, being in a cafe is very intimidating. I don't like it, and I want in and I want out. Apparently, there's this knowledge and aura that they just can make or break their day, and they know that, and so they're fucking rude to you, and they're very sure, and it's almost like they feel like they're like a bot. I don't know. I can't really pinpoint it, other than the fact that one point in history, baristas used to be shy because they were taking orders from people that made double or triple, quadruple the times of money that they'll ever make. And now they make $29,000 a year and think they hold power over you, which is absolutely not true. I'm a little speechless at the status that they think they have in the world, and I don't know why we're giving it to them. So maybe the that's what happened. A barista was judging out loud, which that's another thing. Fuck off to Matty Healy's fiance, and he just had it. And I was just thinking about this the other day. I'm a ride or die. I have that mentality, and I don't feel bad to where somebody was like, "Oh, that person you defended ended up becoming a Uber teen driver, started to prey on children." Thankfully, nothing happened, but just the behavior. And they're like, "You defended him, but way before he was an Uber driver." It wouldn't the idea of the ride or die. There's a high risk, high reward in that, but the idea, I think, is what you need to accept. And yeah, I might defend some shitty people. That's certainly a possibility, and I will admit that I was wrong. But I will never take away the ride or die factor. That's just an insane amount of loyalty that I'm happy to share with someone else. And so I think maybe Matt Healy took up some of that ride or die. And yeah, he might be wrong saying he's gonna fucking punch a barista. And I think a few of them need punched, thinking they hold power over us from time to time, if not all the time. And so was that a little outlandish to say? Yeah, but he was being a ride or die, and I think that's something worth more than uh, what meets the eye. I think in some way he's gets a pass, not only because he's white, he's like British white, and obviously, if Americans said that would close down schools and I guess coffee shops and college campuses, they would have to drink the drip coffee, and that would literally cause just like a shift in the paradigm of universities. I think it would really set us back like 3 or 4 years if college campuses and coffee shops around just shut down for the day, and it would really set us back in like a societal kind of way. But but Matty Healy gets the pass because he's British white. He's not American white. I couldn't keep. It was very overstimulating. But I think he apologized that he took it too far. But then Azealia Banks is something. I think he's even instigating it. I could be wrong. But let me just read the timeline of events that my girlfriend sent to me. It's been bubbling up for a while. In 2023, Azealia was warning Taylor Swift, who's Matty Healy's ex, like she was warning Taylor Swift about Matty after he split from some chick, and that caused some tweets and an incel commentary. I don't know if it was from these notes are not good, babe. Is a scabies tweet and in femcel or incel commentary. Maybe Azealia said that. Maybe Matty Banks said that. He goes on the Adam Freeland podcast. I listened to today, actually. I think it was more Adam Freeland and Nick Mullen maybe going at it. but so then Azealia Banks clapped back at Matty Healy defending Ice Spice, saying he should eat a strong green salad and wash his dick. And then there goes Charlie XCX, who's engaged to Matty Healy's bandmate and best friend. And then so Azealia critiques Charlie XCX and her, talking about her appearance, musical and physical direction. And she's done this and commentated on it throughout the year. And then Matty creates the Good Morning Guys Twitter, which is where he was popping off last night. And then Azealia just keeps hitting the nail on the head, saying, I think that means correct. And I'm trying to remain unbiased. She just keeps hammering in about how Charlie XCX is, I don't know, ugly bitch, I guess. I really don't know. I think that's what Azealia Banks thinks. So then Matty defends Charlie XCX And then she doesn't realize in the time that this is Matty Healy's Twitter, as many of us didn't realize that. And then she eventually figures it out. It's him, and a fight breaks out, and basically Matty threatens to slap Azealia Banks at an awards show and get a Guinness World Record for it. And which is fine. And he deleted that tweet, which I don't think that was too crazy, too far. But again, they shouldn't be lashing out like this. And but apparently Azealia Banks is just kind of, I think she's standing on business in her eyes, where like she's like, you're either with me or against me or in my way. Thanks, Gucci Mane. This is about the time, in Matty Healy's words, that he deletes the Twitter, and then he gets off Twitter for a few months, and then comes up with a new burner, so to speak, that acts as his regular one, which is honestly cool to just keep making handles. And then it's almost like eras. It's like Matty Healy's eras tour with social media handles, and you could probably put a diagnosis to them. So, like I said, I'm really bullish on Matty Healy, and I think he has history of being a troll, but I think it raises fair concern. Is he being a troll, or is this something bigger at hand? It did remind me of Kanye, and especially Kanye saying, bipolarness is my superpower, which you never want to hear somebody diagnosed with any sort of disorder, and they refer to it as a superpower. That's grounds for it could literally open up a black hole and everything gets swallowed inside if you enable that kind of behavior. And I think many of us were like, Kanye, stop it. It's just extremely interesting. I would support the trolling, but then Kanye gave us My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and he lost his rights. Those got revoked. So now it's like a matter. It's a real delicate thing. Had Matty Healy, I know he's friends with the Cumtown guys, but if you don't practice that, you don't have as much as you don't reserve as much of a right to troll and kind of laugh it off. I think something bigger is at hand. I don't know if if it was a manic episode. It's what it's being speculated as, and that's fine. And honestly, his fan base freaking out about the Cumtown episode, I guess the Adam Freeland show now, it's wasn't even that bad. But maybe I'm just a degenerate. Then again, I think my opinion of this wasn't even that bad is going to differ from potentially a teen girl who's a fan of the band, and him, of course, being the frontman. It's just all interesting. I think life goes on, and I think he's aware that he was wildin', and this was just really interesting to walk in on week one of being a fan, and it doesn't steer me in the wrong direction. It just really makes me hope that the guy is in a happy state of mind, and we can continue to get music from. In the 1975's music is just amazing. My friend Max, I had to run it by Mac, who Max, my everything guy, movies, comedy. That's why he's my best friend. And he said, I don't just see anybody twice, but I went to go see the 1975. I saw them twice, and he had a good educational take on it. He said, yeah, they seem like they started out as industry plant kind of archetype, but then they're only making better music as time goes on. And I do prefer like experimental 1975 instead of a pop song that we can count on to chart. And even if it was all pop charting songs, Matty Healy being the guy he is, I think I'd still be a big fan of the band. A lot of the Cumtown fans, which if you know anything of Cumtown, you know who the fans are. Not to discredit them. They're in cruise control with their sense of humor, and that's fine, and I applaud it. I applaud comedians doing it more than the fans. Of course, all of Cumtown is backing Matty Healy because he was a real chill-ass dude on the podcast, in the eyes of Cumtown. He's always been like this, and it's two worlds colliding. It's like, why can't, and for Matty Healy's the apex, why can't 18, 19-year-old and even younger girls, why can't they support Matty Healy saying retard and making racist jokes about Ice Spice? And obviously he takes a liking to her. He was talking about DMing her. It's really interesting. Two worlds colliding with Matty Healy at the apex. And I think Matty Healy's a well-spoken guy. I think he's passionate. I think his head's in the right place, but I think he just had to have a moment on Twitter. I think the guy has no privacy. He can't. I suppose he could make a burner account, but then everyone still know what he's talking about. I suppose he could write an email that he's never going to send to the barista, but if he has a notch in this world, if he's got a leg up with all the fame and fortune and being a talented musician, yeah, why not pop off and delete your Twitter? Although he hasn't yet, guys. If you don't know Matty Healy, do a deep dive on him. And I don't, even if you're judging the 1975 and you're like, oh, I heard them in high school, you gotta do a deep dive on Matty Healy. Give yourself 2 hours, and I think you'll maybe even a longer deep dive, like an 8 hour deep dive. Check out this passionate podcast he's on. Check out the Come Town episode. And I think, especially if you've been judging the 1975 based on their fans, and then also check out the 2020 album, Notes on a Conditional Form. I don't say this about many albums, guys. I have the most shittiest taste in music. I think this is a no-skip album, guys, and I have the worst taste in music. I understand, and I'll take that, but this, I don't know, it is truly an amazing album. So with all that being said, guys, I just wanted to address it. I was week one of being a 1975 fan, and I'm out here keeping my hand warm so I can slap the shit out of Azalea Banks and all these fucking baristas. Matty Healy really opened the door. I never thought about how a barista thinks they have fucking power over me on a day-to-day basis. And truth be told, they don't. They're not gonna, they could never do anything face to face. They think they're behind the counter. They think they have the power. They need to execute the power that they don't even have. And you know what? I could fucking pop off to a barista right now. They'd fucking shut down. They'd fucking put their tail between their legs and they'd fucking make my cup of coffee. You know who I couldn't do that to? A fucking Dunkin' Donuts employee behind the counter, because I know they'll fucking hurdle. They'll fucking whoop my ass and then they'll fucking go back to their job. I was just a fucking piece of garbage they had to take out. These mom, pa, quirky fucking not so corporate but want to be corporate baristas in coffee shops. They don't have no fucking. That's when they say support small business. The fucking type of people that are in this business that these small business owners entrust, and then really they're two-sided conniving people that think they have fucking power over my day. Get the fuck out of here. I won't support your fucking small ass business. That's fucking insane. So with that being said, I think Matty Healy's completely in the right. All right, guys. See you on the next one.